The will of God. It is good to do the will of God. When you do the will of God, everything becomes reasonable and easier and okay. It is good, it's for our best interest to do the will of God. What is the will of God? The will of God is doing God's will, being a God pleaser. You please God over and over again. If you were to choose, you choose to please God. You fear God. Some people use the word fear God. Some people use the word do the will. Some people use the word God pleaser. And I love the God pleaser. You be a God pleaser. Now, the story of Adam and Eve. God gave them choice to do his will or not. And they chose not to do his will. And they were cast out of the garden. Abraham was also given a choice to do the will of God. And he chose to do the will of God. By leaving his father's house and going to a strange land, he don't know. When he was given a son at the age of 100, like, he was patient. The way he was 100 years old, and God gave him his son, and he believed, and God gave him his son, and God said, okay, you know what, go sacrifice the son I gave you. And Abraham, without thinking, you know what, I am a God pleaser. That's what he said. So I have no other choice than to please God. So he went to sacrifice his own son, his only son. He went and tied the child up and put the child on the sacrifice place and was about to kill the child before God said stop. That is, what is God pleasing? God pleasing is just like people pleasing. You can't help but do the will of God. Just like people pleasing, you can't help but do the will of people. Okay? You can't help. You have no other choice. You must and will and should do the will of God. Let's go to the wife of Isaac, Rebecca. Rebecca, when the servant of Abraham met her, he said, you know what? My Lord, I prayed to God for him to show me the maid that Isaac will marry. If the girl do this and this and this, then I will know that you have chosen this girl for Isaac. So when he narrated the story to her, she said, you know what? I'm going with you. Because God said so. I'm going to do the will of God. Hallelujah. And she did the will of God. Okay? Do you understand me? And when she gave birth to her own child, Esau and Jacob, she told Jacob, marry from the Jews, not from the Gentiles. Okay? Don't marry the Gentiles. Marry the Jews. She still wants to do the will of God. She is a God's pleaser. Abraham was a God pleaser. Rebecca was a God pleaser. Then we go to Job. Job went and took all his whole property. He still, the only thing he could, the reflect action he could do was to fall down and worship God. Like, lie down and worship God. Can you imagine that? We can go over and over and over and over and over and over again talking about the people in the Bible that do the will of God. David, his enemy was God's anointed, and he swore not to kill his enemy because his enemy was the God anointed. He is a God pleaser. David was a God pleaser. He did not kill Saul, even though he had the opportunity to do so, because he's a God pleaser. Let's go to the Bible, the New Testament. And Jesus, of course. Jesus, all his life from the beginning to the end was only to do the will of God. When he is not done with his message, with what he wanted to do on earth, he makes sure he was not caught. And when he was almost done, he started making himself available to be caught. Do you understand? He did everything to please the Father. He don't look at his friend's face. He rebuked Peter, because Peter was trying to come between him and his God. He rebuked his mother when his mother was distracting him from his ministry, because he is a God pleaser. I mean, when he was so much hurt, he said, Father, 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 if it's possible, take this away from me, but it's not my will that will be done. Let your will be done. Do you understand me? For you to be what you're supposed to be, for you to be healthy, that means living your best version of you, is for you to be a God pleaser. And you will not worry, because you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. God pleasing is the answer. And if you're able to hold on to God pleasing, hold on to it. No matter what you're going to do, you ask God permission. You ask God what he thinks. Just like David, no matter any action David is about to take in his life, he asks God for direction. He asks God whether it's the right choice, and God always answers. Inquire of God, do his will, be a God pleaser, and we will feel fulfilled. You not start asking questions, you not like confused anymore, because you know already, and you're okay. I hope this makes sense. See you in my next video. Bye.